homemade liver bites. First of all, you start off with your able assistant and a piece of lamb's liver. I choose lamb's liver because I don't like the smell of pig's liver and my dogs don't really like chicken liver, so lamb's liver it is for us. First of all, I'm just going to cut the liver into chunks. Now the size of the chunk is approximately the size of a fingernail. So for me, that is going to make a nice kind of chunk, and I'm going to put it on a tin lined with greaseproof paper. I've already put the oven on, and the oven is on at 150 degrees. So it's on quite a low oven because we want to dry these out, but not burn them. So we want them dried, not burned. And there's a big difference. So it needs to be quite a low oven, and it's going to take about an hour, hour and 15, hour and 20 minutes. And even when the time is up, all I do is just turn the oven off and let them just cool down in the oven. If any of them look a little bit big, I can just then cut them in half. Liver bites are really great. They often don't like eating raw liver, although funnily enough Dennis does today. Mostly he doesn't. He's clearly showing off because he's being filmed. So here we are, our bits of lamb's liver are diced up, ready to go into the oven. This amount is making about 200 pieces, and it was under half a kilo in weight and just about £2 in cost. So that's kind of a lot of lovely bits of liver bite for the dogs for very little money, and they can't wait till they're cooked. So now we're just going to put them into the nice, fairly cool oven. In they go for about an hour or so. In an hour, I'm going to check and feel them and see if they're really hard. If they're getting too dark and I think they're burning, I'll turn the oven down. Otherwise, I'll just stand there until I feel them and they're really hard. And at that point, the oven is turned off. And we'll be looking at those a little bit later. Right, this is another liver cake recipe. This is liver cake, which has got a few more ingredients in it. This is about half a kilo of lamb's liver. Now to this, I'm going to add 2 lovely organic eggs. I'm also going to add to that a cup of spelt flour. I use spelt flour because I think it's nicer. I use it myself, and I think it's better for the dog, so we use whole grain things in our family. And I'm just going to stick in a cup of spelt flour. Now I'm going to blitz this, and it should be like a batter type mixture. So if it's not, I can add a little bit more flour. Yeah. Now we've got a kind of gloopy cake mixture type consistency, and that was a glass of spelt flour, 2 eggs, and approximately half. If it wasn't gloopy enough, you could add a little bit of water or another egg, and if it was too runny, you could add a bit more flour. Any old flour will do, it doesn't matter what you've got. I prefer whole grain organic flour, but that's entirely your choice. So I'm just lined a tin with greased baking paper and just spoon it all out. And again, this is going to cook for about an hour. And what I tend to do is when it's been cooking for an hour, I'm going to get it out. And while it's still warm, I'm going to chop it into chunks and put it back in again to dry out even more. The drier that your treats are, the longer they last. The more moisture in them, the more they're likely to go off. But you can always freeze them. If they end up being a bit moist, just freeze them in small batches so that they don't go off. And if they're in small, easy to have bags, you can just put a bag of frozen stuff in your pocket ready for training or entertainment or whatever. Our liver cake, and that has taken approximately 2 minutes to put together. No time at all. Dennis likes to be the pre-wash. It really helps with washing up if you've got somebody to help take the worst of it off. So here it goes. Because I'm cooking the other liver bites as well, I'm going to stick this in at the same heat. It's just going to take a bit longer to cook. So I'll check this after about 45 minutes. Whew. There we go. Okay, so here are our liver bites. They're out of the oven. I've let them cool a little bit, and they did take about an hour. And you can see if I squeeze them, they are completely hard, but they're not burned. So these, we've got a nice bunch here. We've got another one who are lower down in the oven, who are just finishing off. So that is our liver bites ready to put into little bags, individual bags for doing stuff. We'll do a little taste test with them in a minute. Now, the other liver cake that I was doing, what I'm going to do with this now is, I've taken it out, it's kind of cooked through, but kind of rubbery. What I'm going to do with this is I'm going to chop this into cubes and then put it back in the oven on greaseproof paper to dry out a little bit more. These are slightly bigger ones. You can cut them into any kind of size that you want. As you can see, cooking for dogs creates a little bit of interest. This is a really good thing to do when there's fireworks going off or anything upsetting them, because it takes their mind off anything else going on, because they're so intent on looking at what you're up to. So it's endless amounts of entertainment. So at this point, these are still quite spongy. They're perfectly fine to use as treats, but I want to dry them out a bit. These guys can try a little bit. Audie, would you like to try one? Here we are. So everyone can have a little bit to taste, and then the rest are going to go on the baking tin to dry out. So these liver cakes have now been in the oven for about half an hour drying out. They're still a little bit spongy, so what I'm going to do is just switch the oven off, and I'm going to just leave them in the oven with the oven off to dry out, and in the morning they'll be perfect. So if you ever need to pop out and do something, just switch the oven off and leave stuff in, because it'll just carry on drying out and it can't get too dry. So they're not going to burn because the oven's off, they're just going to dry out.